Hello, this is Lucas Palmeira from Imagine, and I'm here to give you another tutorial on the RC. Today I'm going to show you some sounds from the song Spacefly by the French band called Space. So let's get right into it and start with the bass that sounds like this. As you can see, we have here an arpeggiator, we have an equalizer. This compressor is only for side chaining. So for now, I'm going to take out what is really important. So I'll leave these compressors. This equalizer is just boosting the high frequencies a little bit. But I'm going to take out the limb for now. And let's go to the RC. Bring back default patch. Okay. And first thing I'm going to do is go to the second oscillator and detune it to 156, like this. And pre-gain at 9 to 5. Okay. And second oscillator, let's 699 on the first and the second oscillator. And now let's go to the sub-oscillator, raise one octave, and raise the sub-oscillator to maximum. Okay. Now for the filter, the envelope generator 2 amount that controls how much the envelope generator 2 controls the cutoff. Let's bring it to 709. Okay. Cutoff to 082. And resonance at 302. Okay, now for the first envelope generator that controls the amplitude, let's put decay at 273. And bring the sustain to 0. Release at 206. And now on the attack, 036. Decay at 267. Sustain at 0. And release at 407. Okay? And now for the delay modulator, what we have is a time of 340, depth of 467, and a rate of 107. Feedback at 100, it's normal, it's what it comes from. Half dry wet, just to give it a little bit more stereo. So, here we have it. I also have here with the drums and the bass, so that I make the drums and the bass a little bit more on the same place. We have this saturator and this equalizer. But remember, this is also playing on the drums. So let's go now to the lead. Okay, and here I have again a sidechain compressor and this equalizer. I'm gonna leave it on. And I have this utility to reduce the stereo width, and I only have 80% of stereo width. So default patch. Okay. And first thing, change the first oscillator to a square wave. Pulse width, let's bring it to 313. And pulse width modulation to maximum. Okay, now second oscillator, square as well. Let's put it on the same octave and change the fine tune to 232. Now let's go to the modulation page and let's raise the LFO1, controlling both oscillators, to 274. Sorry. Okay, now master at maximum, pre-gain. Master at 797. Pre-gain at 806. About there. Oscillator 1 and oscillator 2 at maximum. Ring modulator at 444. And noise at 663. Now what we're going to do is go to the filter and drop the cutoff to 292. Now resonance at 0. And now let's go. First envelope generators 024. Decay at 6 to 6. Sustain at 0. Release at 779. Second envelope generator, attack at 0, decay at 230. Sustain at maximum. And release at 511. No, 596. 596. Okay. Now let's go to the reverb and depth at 766. Damping at 651. Modulation at 572. And now for the amount, which is 523. Okay? Now let's go to the let's go to the next sound. First thing, I'm going to change from poly to mono. And now it's perfect. Okay, so now let's go to the lead fifth, which is this sound. Okay. Bring back the default patch. Remember that I have here a fifth, which is 9 semitones under the original note. Bring back default patch. First oscillator, sine. Modulation LFO1, 274 like before. Now on the filter, we drop the cutoff to 500. Not that it's going to do much because it's a sine wave. And no, 268, sorry. And release at 0. Now, we have master at 797. Pre-gain at 800 and oscillator 1 at maximum. Now attack at 060. Then decay at maximum, sustain at 419. Release at 133. Envelope generator 2 at 0, 230 on the decay. Sustain at maximum and release at 511. And now finally from poly to mono. Okay. Now let's go to the ARP sound. Okay. Bring back the default patch. And first thing is change first oscillator to a triangular wave and raise 1 octave. And on the second oscillator, we have a sine wave with 1 octave more and detune it to 292. Okay. Now master 851. Pre-gain at 663. Oscillator 1 and 2 at maximum. Now envelope generator to amount 500, cut off at 880. 880. And resonance at 0. No, 098, sorry. This. Now for the first envelope generator, attack at 0, decay at 3, 3, 4. Sustain at 097. And release at 468. Envelope generator 2, 0371. Sustain at 0 and 413 on the release. Finally, reverb. Let's start with the amount this time, 403, so you can listen to the reverb growing. Decay at 7 to 4. Damping at 500. Modulation at 100. And we have our ARP done. Now let's go to the first pad. I have loads of processing here. This equalizer is cutting the lows and boosting a little bit of the highs. This compressor is a side chain with a kick compressor. I have here this reverb that I'm going to turn off for now. This K7D that has a time of 14 milliseconds, a preamp of 0.30, a low pass filter at about 600, but the character with whoa, flutter, and stereo with everything on, and maximum. Also, a phaser and a flanger. Okay, so here, now with no processing, and let's pick up the RC. Back to the default patch. Okay, and first thing we're going to do is let's start with the amplifier this time. Pre-gain at 639. Oscillator 2 at 620. Sub at 358. And finally, ring at 468. Now, second oscillator. Let's detune it 232. Sub-oscillator is okay. Okay. Now let's go to the modulation page and turn the LFO2 to modulate the first oscillator. And let's raise it to 266. Okay. Now the filter, let's change this to a low pass 2-pole. Envelope generator 2 at maximum and cutoff at 584. Resonance at 364. Okay. And now for the first envelope generator, 498 on the attack. Decay at 500, sustain at 800, and release at 591. Okay, 590, same. Second envelope generator, attack at maximum, 230 on the decay, sustain at 400, and release at 645. Now let's go to the reverb, raise the amount to 395. Decay 712. Damping 500, modulation 100, it's perfect. Now turn the chorus on and rate it $225. Depth of 596. And a feedback of 170. Okay. Now we turn on the processing. And we have our pad. Okay? Now, for the second and third pad, it's exactly the same. You just have to come here, copy, and the only thing you have to do is change the filter to a high pass 2-pole, envelope generator at maximum, cutoff at 360, resonance at 552. It's the same pad, only the filter changes. Here, I only have a K7D. It's the same K7D as before, and the same ballad reverb, but I don't have the phaser or the flanger. So, next is the third pad, which is exactly the same like we did before with just a K7D and a ballad reverb. But again, we changed the filter this time to a low pass 4-pole with maximum envelope generator 2, maximum cutoff, and maximum resonance. Just that. So you just copy from pad 1 to pad 2 to pad 3, and you only change the filter. It's the only thing you need to change, okay? So now let's go to the first stab, which is this one, which has this overdrive here and this equalizer, just boosting a little bit of the highs. Okay, let's bring back default patch. Okay, and second oscillator drop 2 octaves. Let's go to the amp first and put the pregain at 639. Oscillator 1 at maximum, oscillator 2 at 620. Sub-oscillator at 358. And ring modulator at 4, Oscillator 2 at 736. That's what I meant, 736. sub-oscillator at 425. And noise reduction at 322. Okay? Now on the second oscillator, we detune it to 128. Okay, like this. And now let's go to the filter. On envelope generator 2, we put it at 836. Cutoff frequency, we drop it to 696. Resonance at 140. And now let's go to the first envelope generator. 048 for the attack. 500 decay. Sustain at 800 and release at 608. Okay. Second envelope generator. 072 on the attack. 230 on the 230 on decay, sustain at maximum, and release at 444. Now reverb. I think I release, oh, it's perfect. Reverb amount at 365. Decay 779. Damping 500, modulation 100. We got everything done. We just need to turn the overdrive on. Okay? Now let's go to the source tab, which is this one. Okay, bring back default patch. As you can see, I have here an equalizer. I'm gonna turn it off for now. And oscillator to drop 1 octave and detune it to 244, but I'm gonna raise it first. Okay. Master at maximum, pregain at 800, and oscillator 1 and 2 at maximum. Now we change the filter to a low pass 2-pole and drop the cutoff at maximum or raise the resonance to 114. Okay, now we go to the VCA and raise the velocity to 405. This will increase the sensitivity and volume of the velocity of the notes. And now for the first envelope generator, we got 0,693 on the decay. Sustain at 285. And release at 300. On the second envelope generator, we got 0 tech, 0 decay, sustain at 400, and a release of 900. Finally, we go to the reverb, raise the amount to 377. Let's put the decay at 705. Damping 500, modulation 100. Okay, now we turn on the equalizer. Okay, I actually think I wrote the 114,253. I think I mixed up the cutoff. It's 535. Sorry about that. Cutoff frequency is 535, about there, 532. And we have our sound. Let's go now to the last one, which is the high slide. Okay. Let's bring back the default patch. And let's start with the raising oscillator 2 on the amp to maximum. And I'll go to second oscillator and detuning 088. And changing the performance mode from poly to mono. Now, envelope generator 2 at maximum, 500. Cutoff frequency at maximum, release at 0. Now, attack at 078. Now, decay at 500. Sustain at 800 and release of 7 in 12. Now, envelope generator 2. 0 attack, 230 on the decay, 400 on the sustain, and release of 100. Finally, we go to the reverb, raise the amount to 316. Okay. Decay 882. Damping 500 and modulation 100. Last thing we have to do is turn the legato on and raise it to 296. And we have everything ready now, guys. So let's now listen to the melody that I've recorded before. So bear with me just a second while I get this ready for us to listen. Sorry about that. Okay, it should start any moment now. So let's listen. And this was it, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. It was 10 sounds, so it was quite the tutorial. I think it was the biggest that we did so far. I really hope that you liked it. And if you enjoyed it, please give us a like. That means a lot to us. And subscribe to our channel if you can. So we'll see you again next week with more content. Till then, goodbye.